Hey, and welcome here to Six Wheels Down. My name is Thorkild Brunsnaes, and today I'm going to continue my little series of 2 videos about how to record music when you are full-time RVers and living in a motorhome. In the last video I had, I was talking a bit about how I do my setup for recording, which hardware you need, which software, and it's really not that bad. I would say I like to listen to Chris Stapleton or Sheryl Crow or whoever my idols are, and I grab my guitar and I would sit there playing and pretend to be like them. And it doesn't always sound just like Chris Stapleton when I play, but it's pretty okay. But I will tell you, it's not the recording software and it's not the recording equipment that makes you different and not always sound as good as those people. I can tell you, you can buy simple equipment, a good microphone and a good software and a good sound card, and you can record in a quality that is just mind-blowing. So it's really not what prevents you from sounding just as good as, for example, Chris Stapleton when you play. One thing I've noticed is you can take a guy like Chris Stapleton and you can go on YouTube and watch some of his videos, and you will see there are videos where he sits down and he just sits there with his guitar and he sings, and it sounds mind-blowing. And I can tell you the difference for me doing that and him doing that. That's not the recording equipment and the sound effects. You have everything you could dream of available, even in cheap home studio software. The big difference there, that's talent. A guy like him, he has so much talent. He can put the chords and the lyrics and the harmonies together in a way where you just say, wow. And that's talent. That's musical talent. And you know what? That's something you have to work hard on. It's not. I don't think it's something you either have or don't have. It's something you can develop, and you can work on it. So here in this video, I will try to work a bit on this. And who am I to tell you how to record music? Am I some famous musician? No, I'm not. I have worked my entire career as an engineer in some larger companies making wind turbines, and my wife and I went full-time RVing here in May of this year, and I've always dreamt about using other sides of myself, doing more creative stuff like music, videos and so on. So that's what I'm doing now, full-time. And it's not because I'm a huge talent, but it's just because I've started now, and I don't see anything preventing me from making music that I like. Then hopefully somebody else likes it. I'm sure if you do something that comes from your heart and you do something you like, there will also be people who likes it. My main purpose of making music is I do YouTube videos here on Six Wheels Down, and I'm trying to create my own background music for the videos. So that's kind of the extent, and that's my goal right now. It's not to come out on stage and perform and all that. I would love to. I would like that, I think. But right now, my first goal here is to make some background music for my videos. The first thing I will talk a bit about is how do you get inspired for your music? If you sit with your guitar and you just try to write some music, you can feel very empty. And how do you get inspired? See, my experience is that most of the time it comes from listening to other great artists that do music, and I hear something in it. It can be a small thing, it can be a drum beat, it can be a sequence of the bass that just have this certain groove there, and you listen to that and you say, wow, that's great. And then you can take that piece, try to capture that and go into your software and try to play something that sounds a bit like that and use that as the baseline for your music. And then you start building on top of that track by track and make your own music. it won't be like the artist you heard originally or got inspired from. You just have a certain sequence or a certain feeling or a certain atmosphere in the music that you want to capture, and you use that bass line for that. And then you can start, as you sit and play with different instrument sounds, you build up on it. And the music, you never know when you start, you never know where it ends. It can sound completely different than what you got inspired from, but at the end of the day, when you hear the final result, you say, wow, that was not that bad. So that's often how it starts for me. It can be other things as well. One of my favorite things to do is, together with my wife, to take our motorcycles out, and we go for long rides. And we are in New Mexico right now, and one of the best feelings I have, that's when we are out on the long straight highways, and you just hear the rumbling sound from the Harley Davidson. I think there's nothing better than that. It brings me, yeah, you might think I'm weird now, but it's really true. It's like being in a zone. Your mind starts wandering off, and you have this deep rumbling underneath. And that's one thing that I would like to capture, that feeling, that atmosphere. So it's something about a deep rumbling bass riff that has to run, and then there has to be something floating on top, because it's like you have that sound bass when you're on your motorcycle, and then your thoughts and your mind just starts wandering as you ride. That's a feeling I would like to capture in a piece of music. So I will use that as inspiration today, just to show you how weird it can be sometimes, but it's really true. It's sometimes these feelings that you try to capture, something that makes you feel good yourself. I bet it makes others feel good as well, so why not use it? So I'll go out and start the Harley, and let's try to record how it sounds, the engine on the Harley, and then let's build from that and say, where does that take us? I have no clue right now, but we'll see at the end of the day. And now, when we know what will be the backbone of the music, it will be this inspiration we had from the sound of the Harley Davidson. Now I open up the Steinberg software, the Cubase, and you have different options up here. You can use recording, mainly for vocal and analog recording. I choose a production because here you also get tracks for MIDI and so on, and I would like to use some of the built-in instruments. So I choose that one, and then you can see you have different options here: blues, classic rock, or whatever. Let's just take a classic rock. What it means is it preloads some different tracks with instruments. Down here you also have the folder where it will store the project files per default. I always choose here prompt for project location. And as I have an external storage hard disk, I choose that one, and I choose my Cubase folder and video soundtracks. That's where I store my different pieces of music, and I would say create new folder, and let's call it Harley Ride. When I open up the software, it looks like this, and you can see I chose the rock type of music, and that means it comes with a track for drums, for bass, for guitar, and vocals, and so on. I like to start from a clean slate, so I'll just delete all these and simply start from scratch, not to have it messy. So like this, now there are no tracks. In this menu here I will click add an instrument, not audio. Audio is more for for guitars and analog instruments, but I'll click the instrument because I want to use some of the instrument sounds built into the software. It's now time to start recording, so I'll simply push the recording button down here. So that's basically my bass I recorded there. Now you can see up here in the window on top, we have all the tags here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and so on. We basically need 4 tags because we play in 4/4. So the music goes like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's the tags you see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. It just continues to count up. So we only need from 1 up to 4, that 4 included, so it ends here by 5. So I'll basically clean this up a bit now. I'll cut away what we don't need. This we don't need. And we can now move the whole recorded track up to the beginning. And we end here by 5. So I'll cut that out as well. Everything that is in access there, we can delete that. Now I have 4 tags with the bass. And I'll double click it and we get this window open in the bottom. And now down here in the bottom you can see I have the top window even more detailed out here in the bottom. And what the first thing you'll notice, I can play these keys here now. And by doing that I will also see that these here, you can see this one should be 2 bars. This here should be 1 bar. This should be 1 bar. So it's like do 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 do. These here should theoretically start at the line and end at the line, and you can see they don't. That's what happens when you play an instrument manually. If I move all these so they start exactly at the lines and end at the next line, it would sound mechanically like it's a computer playing it. It becomes very sharp and no human can ever play like that. So I can adjust a little bit but not too much. So I can take each of these bars here and say I extend this one to there, but I let it overlap a little here in the beginning. The next one here, okay, perhaps it started a little too early, but I can extend it a bit more. And this one here should be moved up somewhere there, but on purpose I make them a little unprecise, because you want to have that feeling of this is actually not a machine playing here. This is a person playing. That is the feeling you want. So that's how you create the bass run. When you have it as you want it here, you can press the Alt key and you can basically repeat that, and you can make so that now it repeats throughout until you say now you want it to go up 1 octave or something like that, but else this will be the bass of the music. Now it's time to add the next track here. We made the bass, 4 tags here, and now it's time for me to add another track, and here I think I will make it a drum kit. So I've been into the menu and selected that I want drums for the next track, and now you can hear my keyboard here. It's suddenly a drum kit. I can play certain keys would be bass drums, like, and then you have all the other different sounds for a drum kit. So now you can simply start building up your drums that matches the bass run. So let's try to find something by simply just playing a bit with it. I always just like to say I make a loop here that goes the first 4 tacts, you can see, and I go down here and check that I want it to repeat, and now when I play it, it will continue to play the bass riff, and I can start building up drums that matches that. So let's try that. So we will now try to record a drum beat, and I will only play the bass drum and the snare drum. And the snare drum, I want to sound like you are hitting the snare drum on the side of the metal there. So instead of the normal snare drum sounding like, then I want it to sound like this. And then the bass drum. And then it's always a good idea to make the bass drum and the bass guitar follow each other. So every time you hit the bass drum, you also play the bass guitar. So as it goes like an engine, the bass, then my bass drum also has to go like. So we'll try to record that. So much for that. That was recording the drum beat for that piece of music, and just as last time, we can delete what's too much here. So let's just go all the way back and hear it again here. Okay, now I have the bass and I have the drum beat, and I would like it to kind of continue with this monotone bass run that sounds like an engine. So when it goes like do 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 do, I don't want it to suddenly go up a tone or something like that. I would like it to keep that same monotone sound, the bass riff. So to do that, I got a bit inspired after sleeping here last night, because I came to think about a song I have heard with Tyler Childers. It's called White House Road, and I've tried several times to play that song, and I found out he did something very special to his guitar, and that I can use here. He actually took the E string, the bass, and the thin E string. Both of those he tuned down by 1 tone. So from E he went down to D. And now you can play your chords a little different. So where you normally take a D like this, like a triangle here with your fingers, you can go just 2 fingers here and not do the last. And now suddenly the D sounds like this. So you can suddenly hit all strings. Normally you can only hit the 4 highest strings for a D. So I can go something like this here by tuning it down. So that we will try to apply to the music. So we will make it. And it's hot in here, so I need to remember to drink. But let's try to see what we can do with that. So let's start the recording. decided to add a Hammond organ now. And as you can see, we have the bass coming and the drums from the beginning. They start here at track 1. At track 5, I have the bass, drum, and the guitar coming in as well. And now I simply added another track here, and Hammond organ. And this is like the old organs, electric organs from the 50s. And here at track number 13, that's where the loop kind of starts over again. So that's where I go in and create this. And this here, I simply put some chords together so that it starts like having these, and then it comes with these here, and it has this kind of screaming sound when you add it. So that's the next I add. So when I added this, and I simply played it on the keyboard, and then I modified them here in the main picture, then you can hear here how it sounds. And as the last thing here, I wanted something on top of the bass track that had a more light sound, so that you have both the deep rumbling from like the engine in the bass and the drums, and then I want something being on top that is kind of floating all over it. And for that I chose to pick a track here with an alto sax, and I simply just started recording, just playing from the MIDI keyboard some different stuff, and I'm now sitting here trying to edit it and make it sound right here. So let's try to listen how it is as far. Okay, and here I see there is something here. I want this note here shortened and this one here longer, and that's the beauty of it. So you can sit and edit it here. So okay, I think that sounds better. Let's try that here. Okay, and the last thing there is to do here to complete this whole music project, that is to look a bit at the drum sounds especially. So I have the full project here in the window on top, and if you just have the drums running the same all the way through, I had a bass drum and a snare drum, and that's all I really had in it, then it sounds like mechanical and boring. So when you are kind of making some changes in the music, like adding the next instrument, or an instrument is disappearing, or you start repeating a loop or something, you might want some hi-hat or some cymbals added to kind of mark that transition. That makes it sound that like the music is more alive. So that's what we are going to do now. So I can see here up, it's hard to see, I'm zoomed so much in, it's somewhere between 9 and 17. So let's just zoom out a bit so we can see a bit clearer where we are. So it's somewhere here between 11 and 12 would be the first place most likely. here, 11 and 12. So somewhere here before that transition where we get a new instrument in here, that's kind of a good place to make something. So let's try to go here to that area. So I'll find it down in the bottom window where we can see the details. I have to go all the way back till it says 12 on top, and that's here, that's 12. And we want to make sure it's the drum we have in the window. So we mark the drums up here and they show up in the bottom. If I listen to that now, then I have to find out where can we add something. So that's where we kind of want it. So it's here in these last two tags we want something. So let's see what could be a good sound to apply there. And we can try to play the different. And we keep going till we find the right sound we want. Now they get a bit weird. So that's kind of a hi-hat sound that opens and closes. Maybe that's the one we choose to use here. So that was this one here. So let's try to go out and mark that somewhere. So that would be here somewhere. So let's try to put a hi-hat in there and one here. And the one we want longer, and then the other one like a short snap. So let's see how that sounds. And I think I want to move that one further up. So maybe it's already here and here. And this is a bit trial and error here till you get the sound exactly as you want. So I'll keep playing a bit with that until I have them right where I want them, these drum beats, and with the right sound. Now that we have recorded everything as we wanted, then the last thing to do is really to export to an audio mixdown, typically an MP3 file or a WAV file. You can choose that here in the settings. You find the folder you want to store it in, you give it a name. Here I call it Harley Drive, and then you simply just export it and we are done. I have now taken this piece of music we have just made in this video and I've applied it as background music to a little ride up to the mountains, up to Rio Doso here in the mountains in New Mexico. I hope you will enjoy it. hope you like the final result here of this music and background music for videos. I hope you got an idea about the process and that it is actually possible to make music even though you're a full-time traveler and living in a motorhome. I simply do all this from the garage in our motorhome, where I have my computer and the studio set up. So the sky is the limit, I would say. If you liked this video, remember please to hit the subscribe button and also the like button, so that you can see more videos and also help this channel here to grow. Thank you so much for watching.